Hello and welcome. We are going to talk a little bit about master studies. If you don't know what a master study is, it's a common practice to choose an artwork or a body of works from an artist and try to recreate it to discover what techniques the original artist used and then apply it to your own works. Generally, classical artists are selected because these artists have some notable quality that has stood the test of time. But I do find it extremely valuable to also include the study of modern artists that have already broken into perhaps an industry of your interest. Now, while I agree that copying an original artwork can be beneficial, I feel like a different approach can be applied to extract a lot more information. So I want to show you my approach. I'm going to break this method down into three parts: observation, focus studies, and then the one-to-one copy. This particular video is going to focus on the observation aspect, which I believe observation is the number one most important skill for any artist to have. The artwork that I am going to be studying today is by creature designer Terryl Whitlatch. Terryl Whitlatch has worked on Star Wars. She designed Sebulba. She has done some illustrations for the Katuran Odyssey. She's worked on Brave, Jumanji. What I love about Terryl Whitlatch is she takes realistic anatomy and applies it in the same way to a fantasy creature. She creates the skeletal and muscular structures underneath. It's a very scientific approach to an artist's work. So this illustration is from the Katuran Odyssey. I chose this because I loved the creature and the overall flow of this piece. So I'm going to extract as much information as I can out of this through observation. I created this PDF as a quick visual checklist, and I will have this available in the description. If you don't know what any of this means, I highly suggest you pause your master studies, go back and learn these fundamentals, because if you don't understand these, you are stunting your growth as an artist. Also note, this guide is not all-inclusive. Some reference materials will list up to 17 principles of design, though I find some to be redundant, and specific things like hierarchy, I believe, applies more to web design, and there are more rules of composition that apply to photography. But again, this is a quick guide to get you thinking about the possibilities of what you can extract. I took roughly 15 to 20 minutes and just wrote down as much as I could. And in that, I found a few key things that stuck out the most to me. First of all, the line work. The line work is very loose, very sketchy, and if I zoom in a little bit, it's almost like you can see the original rough sketch underneath it, especially in areas of higher detail around the face. Now, despite this being somewhat cartoon, especially in like the line weight around the perimeter of these different objects, the whole thing still feels very organic. Next, color. I was able to identify an analogous color scheme with the green, yellow, blue. Now for this next one, I found a lot of unity and variety. I found a lot of unity in the butterflies. They're consistent in color and shape, but they vary in color, size, and position. The ground texture feels like the ground is covered with leaves, but varying sizes. Now, this is a really, really interesting bit. The creature design itself, maybe not a true visual example of unity and variety, but she has this horse-like creature that is made up of different hoofed animals. So similar digestive system, similar anatomy, forms of movement, which makes for a more believable creature. Again, maybe not the true use of the principle, but an interesting observation nonetheless. Composition. I'm just trying to draw over top and see what I think fits best. It does fit into a lot of different composition types, but in the end, I felt like it did land on a spiral very nicely. Now, with these 4 key observations, I'm going to do 4 focused studies, highlighting each point. Make sure you subscribe if you want to see what that looks like. Now, here's something really neat about this process. You have all these observations written down, what your eye sees or what it thinks it sees. You may find at the end of your focus studies, at the end of your one-to-one copy, that some of your observations were wrong. As hard as it is to believe, these breakthroughs are gold. I can't tell you how many times I thought a color looked a certain way until I got in there and tried to create it, and it was completely different. Or in creating a value study, I discovered that the piece followed a different method of composition. All of these discoveries are micro adjustments and shaping and refining you as an artist to showcase your own style. And that is the true purpose to these studies. If you sample and learn from these accomplished artists, apply their methods and influences to your own art, your own unique style emerges like a fingerprint. You may be able to identify some of your heavier influences, but if you keep going through this process, it will continue to change. I love finding old works of my favorite artists and seeing the development. It makes the end goal feel much more achievable. So pull out a notebook and start making some observations.